welcome to Transfigure Nation. I'm Alexis Lorraine, and I'll be your hostess this evening. Before we get started with our guest, Victoria, I want to talk about Miranda. We lost one of our own to suicide. Mental health is not a joke, and I personally nearly lost the battle less than a month ago. It's very easy to find yourself in a downward spiral, and I just ask that you take this time to think about Miranda and all that she meant to our community, as well as what she meant to her family. Suicide affects so many people in the trans community, and it is a constant dark cloud hanging over all of us. Keep that in mind. Keep your mental health in mind. Make sure you take the steps to ensure your continued survival. And furthermore, if you feel that you're going down that dark path, please make sure you reach out. That is all we can ask. Please do not go quietly into that good night. There's so much that you have to offer, and there is so much that we need from each and every one of you. So, if you could, just keep her family in your thoughts and in your prayers, and remember that there are people out there for you. Okay, so we're going to continue on with Transfigure Nation. It's been a while. Tonight, our guest is going to be Victoria Maximus. She is amazing, who I just absolutely just cannot get enough of. So, she'll be on in just a moment, and there she is. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Well, Transfigure Nation. So, it's been a while since we've done this show. We'll see how it pans out. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty. I'm not near as on point as I have been in some of my previous interviews, but we're going to make this work. So, greetings, Victoria. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell our audience a little about who you are?
Yeah. I am Victoria Rose Kaivel, and my screen name is at Victoria_Maximus on Instagram. And I'm a trans woman. I've been out for two years, been gender nonconforming since like 2016. And I'm a wife and a mother and lots of stuff. Lots more. But you have to ask me questions.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. I'm just,
I'm 35. That's another thing about me. I'm 35.
35.
My age.
She's a baby, folks. She's a young one. Okay, so wife and mom. That's awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about the gender nonconforming. Was it just exploring your gender, and did that lead you to understand who you were, or was it just a half step into discovering, more about yourself? Like you knew you were a trans woman, but you weren't quite confident enough to go out there, that kind of thing. Was it one or the other?
I didn't know that I was trans. In fact, I denied, because I just always thought that you needed a certain set of criteria to be trans, to be I'm a trans woman or male, female, female, male. At that time, non-binary wasn't even really on my radar. Growing up as conservative, being raised as conservative, Christian, right-wing, that whole thing, and being heavily in the Protestant Christian faith, I just thought differently at the time. And so once I knew that certain surgeries that I didn't want to get, like for me, I'm pretty open about I don't ever plan on getting bottom surgery. Maybe that'll change someday, but that was the one where I was like, yeah, I don't want that. But a lot of other things I do want, and being called a girl, that sounds good. But a lot of it came from the gender nonconformity just came from a real rough time in my life where my health was failing, my church had failed, my business was not doing well. Just everything was kind of on this downturn, and I just was like, well, the only thing I can really control for myself to help make me happy is who I am and what I can do, like, personally. So really kind of logically being like, well, even though I'm a Christian, wearing dresses, guys wearing dresses or skirts or whatever, that's not like a sin. That's not bad. So it started as those conversations where it was like, first it was like underdressing or like, oh, well, sleep shirts are like more comfortable, and like, what's wrong with that? Women wear jeans now, and they used to not be able to. And it was a lot of logic,
right,
with my wife and my family, and I was able to do the logic for a while in what we all had collectively said we believe or been taught. But then at some point it was just, I just broke down. My therapist asked me, I was asking about what bathroom I should use, because I didn't want to freak old people out anymore who kept checking the sign when they like came in the bathroom, and they would see me like at the urinal, and they'd be like, and she's
right.
like, well, what would you prefer to use? And when she asked me, that was the first time anybody ever asked me what I would prefer without any condemnation. Like, I knew I could answer anything, and I just broke down, and then I knew that was it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and so many of us have had experiences similar to that. It's like, well, in particular me, it's like, okay, well, I can't keep using the men's room. It's getting really uncomfortable. So finally, I started using the ladies' room in South Carolina, where that wasn't necessarily a good thing, because, had somebody had an issue with it, I could have gone to jail. How do you find now, you're in California, that's as specific as we need to get. How do you find your experience related to the stories you hear from other people? In California, there are plenty of protections for the trans community compared to like a place like South Carolina, where there are none. In fact, there's legislation against it. So how do you find that?
It's really good. I haven't really had any issues with places I've wanted to go or things that I've needed to do. The main issues have just been more having had friendships and people within faith in this area, and Southern California has, I'll say Southern California, that's still broad.
It's still a lot of people I think you can hide in. You'll be okay.
Southern California definitely has some conservative areas, and
right. Orange County is one of them, and so is like northern San Diego. So,
but yeah, I've been to my son lives with his mom, and we've had child support, so I've gone to the courthouse for certain things like that, and they've addressed me by my preferred name and gender when I went, and I got to wear a cute pencil neck skirt and blouse and get all. It was like the first time I was ever like excited to go do that, because I got to be me, which is weird, but it makes sense. But
yeah,
I haven't really had problems here. I think a lot of it is in how you carry yourself as well. Everybody's different though. I think, I don't know, I kind of have the RBF thing going on. So I think some people who might want to say something, like make a stink. I used to get stared at a lot when I had the chin strap and the spiky hair and dresses. People would just...
Right.
But I also got a lot of smiles. I was actually more surprised at how nice everyone was than I was... I was surprised at some of the friends that didn't stick around because of my transition, and I was surprised at some of the friends that have stuck around.
Yeah, and that is something that is very common with the whole community. You find, you're like, oh, well, I would have sworn this person would have been standing by me through this whole thing. And in reality, it's those very people that we expected to be able to count on were the ones who, left us high and dry. Going back to your being a wife, so many people struggle with, or so many trans individuals specifically struggle with, their partners and coming out. Now, you and your wife knew each other prior to coming out, correct? So you were together romantically before you came out?
Yeah. She knew that I had a history of like cross-dressing or exploring different gender stuff that I thought I had like moved past because of faith-related things, but she had been aware of like, that was a thing that I struggled with because we both believed it was a sin at the time.
Right.
Obviously, neither of us think that now, but yeah, we've been together for 10 years as of this summer. Started long distance. Was long distance for 9 months to a year, and then she moved here, and we've been married since 2012. So it was a good few years into the relationship, but our minds have just become we're just so much more open-minded and just chill and trying to resolve faith and where we're at now, kind of deconstructing what we're taught and what kind of stays. But yeah, it was a process though. I saw her, she was in the comments here, and she said,
she's still there.
She said, remember when she used to request that all my female clothes were as masculine as possible? That was dumb. It was, but this was a whole process.
So she says that you were married for 5 years prior to your coming out. Now, I want to point out that, even when some relationships start out supportive, we have some very public representation of this, where the partner starts off very supportive and everything, but within a couple of years things fall apart. So how have you two maintained your relationship through this period where so many other people have failed?
I think a lot of it has to do with, she puts it, she'd rather be with me than with any guy. So a lot of it has to do with me, but also her being open-minded to exploring her, aspects of herself. And honestly, like the reason that I wanted to marry her and be with her for our whole lives is because she's the most faithful person that I ever met. We both are just super faithful. Like, if the ship's going down, we're going down with the ship, kind of like faithful.
Right.
And for better or worse, but isn't that really, that's the vow, like the traditional vows, and I think for us, that's just our nature. There have been times where it was like, man, I don't know if we're going to make it. I thought she had said that she would leave if I ever came out, but then I came out, and then our minds got open, and we stuck through. So I think sometimes it has looked like literally like holding on for dear life, like to the relationship, and then, but most of the time it's wonderful. So sometimes it's just stubborn willpower and just saying, I know better times are ahead. I believe that.
Well, I personally think you have a good one there, so keep hanging on for dear life if that's what it takes. All right, let's move away from personal, and let's start I want to talk about a bit about some of the projects you've been doing. You've been very active on social media as of late, on multiple platforms. I think that's the difference is, so many of us, like myself included, I'm primarily Instagram. That's all I do. I don't do Twitch. I don't do Twitter. I'm an Instagram person. That's what I do. Considering I'm in my 40s and I'm not just doing Facebook, I think that's a pretty big win for me. So get off my back. Tell me about... I don't know. These imaginary monkeys that I put there. So tell me about some of these projects. List off the things that you're doing right now, either by yourself or in conjunction with other folks on Instagram, Twitch, or whatever.
Yeah. well, I definitely am on Instagram, and that is still a baseline social media that I'm on. I've experimented with some others, but I don't know. Instagram's kind of cool, kind of a cool place, and I know so many people there now, so it's just like a cool community. I have had to back off from doing super long novella posts and doing epic, like some of the epicness, or posting every single day, just to make room for. I still love Instagram. I still love all the people that I've met there, and am thankful and grateful to be of help to some people there. But yeah, I expanded with so gratefully _Jen on Instagram. Jen Giggles is what I call her. Apparently, she credits me with giving her that name. And then Kaylee.Coral or Kaylee Coral.
K-A.
Oh no, it's Korol.
No, it's not. It's Karroll.
I don't think so.
Okay, well we can come back to this one later.
Kaylee.Cake. It was what it was.
Yeah.
And now it's changed, and now nobody knows. Like, now I'm just all messed up. I told her it messed me up. I said it.
Yeah, you can't change your Instagram handle. It messes with people.
Right. No, but I love them both. And so we just met through Instagram and then through various places. And I had this idea of, I had been wanting to do a pop culture podcast even before I came out. I had a friend of 20-something years, and we had started a podcast just talking about video games and all that. Unfortunately, he was a friend that didn't last through my transition by his choice. But I still wanted to do something, and I'm definitely about giving advice and social justice warrioring, but I also think it's huge and healthy for us to recognize that this is not all we are. There's so much more to us than being trans or being a lesbian or being, there's certain things that I can identify as, but that's not the defining thing of who I am. So I want to start a podcast, and it worked out. They were both, again, the faithful thing. They're both two people that were just down and in it, and we just started. So the podcast is called We Happen to Be Trans. And then, so I've had people have trouble searching it. We Happen to Be Trans, space, ... a pop culture podcast. That might help you find it. That's like the full, big, bloated name, but...
I will include a link to the podcast in the YouTube page upload of this. I will also include it on the Transfigure Nation page with the information about this particular episode of Transfigure Nation. So if you're watching this later, you will be able to find that in the links either on the Transfigure Nation YouTube page or the Transfigure Nation Instagram page. Okay, continue.
Yeah, thank you for that. My wife, Bailey, was the one that she came up with the first part of the name, and then I kind of completed the second half of the name, and it works because it's just basically like, so the premise of the podcast is we are lovers of video games, we're lovers of television, movies, pop culture. For me, music is huge. We drink soda. We drink like different beverages.
And you talk about soda too.
We do, yeah. There's the Great Soda Wars
about soda. It is probably one of my favorites. It is with a special guest, of course, on that one. John.
Right.
Just amazing content right there. So you should definitely go check that out if you haven't already listened to it. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. What do I say? They're all my children.
They're all your children. I just like this one better.
But that one really represents, I think, what it's about. It's just like, hey, or we're probably gonna do one on like favorite cereal or like fast food, like what best fast food fry, best fast food burger, something like that. Because these are things just hey, this is our take on it. We just
Right.
happen to be trans. That's like
Yeah,
the premise
and it has
of it.
nothing to do with our transness. It has nothing to do
Right.
with it. These are just
Yeah, but it's also not being ashamed. Obviously, it's in the
right.
title. I want everyone to know that we are trans, and then I want to talk about everything that has nothing to do particularly with being trans. If it comes up, it comes up, but um, we're not specifically, trying to drive that point home. So it's like you see the title, we're on there. Hey, everybody there is trans, and what are they talking about? Oh, they're talking about The Simpsons. Okay, cool, and not from a trans perspective, like
Right. Yeah.
So
no, completely understandable, and it's a relatable content show. It allows it allows for just sharing of perspective and showing. And I think one of the biggest values of that podcast is that it just shows everybody that trans individuals are no different than anybody else. We're just as geeky, we're just as nerdy, so on and so forth. So
just as cool, just as whatever.
Are we though? Are we?
Maybe not you. I don't know.
Well, maybe not.
You're cool. You're cool. I have not only do I have a cool card, but I also have a license to deem cool people. So,
okay. Well,
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great show. I also want to shout out at Jurassic Park, Mila, who she's on with Jen and I. Kaylee steps aside for those ones by her choice. It's just not her jam. But we talk about a lot of 90s sitcoms, TGIF shows, and so yeah, we're gonna have some coming up. We're gonna have a Boy Meets World episode coming up in a couple weeks, and also my buddy John has been on an episode. We actually are also gonna have one with at Jen Does Stuff, who I love her.
I kind of Jen Does Stuff is kind of awesome. Are you going to talk about Star Trek with her, or are we going to talk about music? Knew it.
Jen. So Jen. There's two Jens. So that's like.
But it's Genevieve and Jennifer, so they're different.
I'm not gonna call it. I just say. I think I start calling Jen like Professor Giggles or like just something different.
Just call her Gigglies.
The Gigglester. But we're gonna talk about all the Star Trek shows and do that as like a.
Okay, now are we going to be talking about episodes, or are we going to be talking about different iterations, like Deep Space Nine, TNG, classic Star Trek, Voyager, do we really want to talk about it? Enterprise Edition.
We're going to do an episode on each.
And then, of course, you have to include Discovery, right? Is it Discovery? No.
Yeah, which I haven't seen yet. I'm almost done with Voyager. But yeah, we're just going to do one every couple months or so. And then we'll probably have her on for some other stuff, too, because she's a metalhead like I am, a musician. She's good.
I'm actually, Bailey, I actually am watching DS9 now because I've never seen it all the way through. Okay, now, let's move on to one of your other projects. So we happen to be trans. It's an amazing podcast. Now, I want to talk to you about some of the work that you've been doing with some other, let's face it, fairly large names in the trans community, and the efforts that you've been putting forth on Twitch and things like that.
Yeah, so things have recently, and it's very exciting, are shifting. So I've been doing this project on Twitch, like exclusively on Twitch, streaming, joint streaming, Q&A, and playing video games with at Michaelaville, Mika, who's our friend, at Maiden Ariana, and at Megan Bound. So Megan Bound Gaming is her Twitch. Maiden Ariana, same thing. Michaelaville, same thing. I'm Victoria Maximus, no underscore on there, so I try to make it as confusing as possible.
And I believe everybody's Twitch handle is available in their Instagram profile.
Yes.
Pretty sure. So if you didn't catch that, just go to Ariana, go to Ari's, go to Megan's, go to Mika's, any of their pages. You can find them on my page, listed under the people I follow or who follow me, and you can get them there. Okay.
So we just announced this past week that rather than doing our own separate streams and having it be all confusing in a browser, we have launched a joint channel that we all are going to be on and have all of our faces on one channel every week for the question and answer part of the segment is called LGBT Thursdays, LGB Thursdays. I made up the name. It's a dumb, funny, cool name, but I don't even know how to say it.
Now, I have a problem with that. If you say LGB Thursdays, like LGB and the T stands for Thursday, you're erasing our part of that whole acronym. So, cut it out.
No. It's all right. Well,
LGBT Thursday, LGBT Thursday, but leave the T in there, okay?
LGB double T.
LG double T. That sounds good.
Yeah.
LG
anyway,
so sorry.
It's fine. It was just a funny joke. It was made up on the spot. There's no brain power on my end went into making that name. We just were streaming on a Thursday, and I was like,
right.
That's the thing. And so the joint channel is Transvengers. It is Transvengers, which a lot of people know. That's a hashtag that people use, and it's now a
it has grown too. It has really grown.
Yeah.
Transvengers started off as a very niche kind of thing with a very small group of women, but it has exploded. And the idea that only a specific group of people can be part of the Transvengers group is just silly and nonsense. It's an outdated idea. So absolutely, we are all Transvengers if you choose to be. But tell us about what you're doing on this Unified Transvengers page. Are you doing more of the same, answering questions? What kind of questions do you get?
So there's the link. Mika just put it in there. Thanks, Mika. Basically, so the joint channel, the awesome thing about it is as it grows, there's going to be a donate button. There's going to be, you can sub to the channel. We would prefer the donations because then Twitch doesn't get any of the percentage. But when you donate, or any money that's generated from this joint channel is going to be donated to charity, donated to a cause that we believe in and that will support the LGBT community or trans community. And so that's probably the most exciting part, is that not only, so what we're doing on there is we're going to do questions and answers. And so every week people can write in questions, they can DM us, they can just get a hold of, we're available somewhere. You can come and chat, you can ask them there. And then we'll just, each of us will kind of take what we feel like we can answer, and we all get to speak, and then hopefully people are able to get helped in their journey, or help to know that they're not alone in certain aspects. And then after the question and answer, which starts, it's every week at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern, we're going to do the Q&A, and then we're going to break off after that and go play video games on our separate channels, which you could still watch in the browser. So.
And what video games do you play?
Minecraft. This has been a huge one. That's been a lot of fun. We're almost done with that game. I think we're almost going to beat it. But we made a whole house. There's a huge tea.
How's the wheat farm doing?
We haven't been in a while,
so awful. All that work, so awful.
Well, we built a roller coaster. It's a lot of fun. I mean,
honestly, folks, I was sitting next to Victoria while they were playing, and it is a lot of fun to watch. I'm always very critical of watching people play video games because, my son did it. And I'm just like, you have that video game, go play it. But, there's something to be said for watching it, especially their conversations. They're a hilarious group. The dynamic is amazing. So it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, we're starting to play. I just got a birthday gift card that I used to buy Call of Duty. So now we're all playing Call of Duty together some, and it's the first time I played a first-person shooter in like 20 years. So come watch me suck, but it's fun. I'll make you laugh while I am not good at the game, but I'm trying to get better. So it's
hey. We have certain individuals getting lost in Minecraft. So, your Call of Duty skills are not that bad, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at video games. I have always been bad at them. I'm not going to try now. I'm old. I'm older than all of you, so cut it out. All right, so.
Well, let me also add that you're not that old. Anyway, let me also add that one of the goals that we have, like when we're done beating Minecraft, we want to think about opening it up to some people that we know in the community, people that we trust that aren't just going to blow up everything that we made, people that we can trust. But we have a steady community that is watching all of us, and
it
a lot
would
of people from the Trans Vendors Discord, and so we've gotten to know a lot of people and trying to broaden out friendships and all of that. And we just want to create not only questions and answers, but we want to create a sense of community and have people feel like they have a safe space to go. When I first started on Twitch, I entered a community that was a little more toxic. I didn't know that right away, but as I went on, I found that some of the people were just really poking fun in ways that were just mean, and there was no sweetness. There was no, it was just kind of gross and made me feel like I always had to be on guard and walking on eggshells and don't say anything that could seem dumb, and I hate that mentality. So if you feel like you're socially awkward or whatever, come hang out with us. You don't have to be like the coolest kid on the block. We love you.
And now that actually brings me to something I'm always adamant about, is that, we talk about the trans community as a whole, as, we're one community, but that's patently false. I mean, just absolutely false. There are several, we are splintered. We have subgroups, we have groups of friends, we have cliques of friends. It's just, it's the nature of social media that, you do have these groups of people. So as you said, if you find yourself in a situation where you feel it's toxic or negative, just remove yourself. It doesn't take, you don't have to burn the world. You don't, there have been a lot of people who, when they don't get their way or they think something is wrong, they like to, torch everything and, badmouth a whole bunch of people. But, it's really important just to know that you can just walk away. Social media does not require you to be friends with everybody. So,
well, I think that's just a thing. I mean, it seems nice. Like, if I could, maybe, to the extent at which somebody has a good heart. Like, I'm pretty much willing to be friends with anybody who has a good heart. But yeah, you can't be friends with everyone. It just isn't practical. There's only so much time in a day, and I just try and make sure regardless of, where they're at, if they're on social media or not or whatever, I just try and hang with people that I gel with for the most part. So.
Yeah. Mika, you're friends with everybody. Yes, we'll just go with that. Everybody's friends with Mika. That's what we're going to say. Okay, so.
That should be the name of your sitcom, by the way. Anyway.
Everybody's friends with Mika?
Uh-huh.
Why is that my sitcom? Shouldn't that be her sitcom?
No, Mika's sitcom.
Mika's sitcom. That makes much more sense. I mean,
everybody loves Raymond, but worse.
Everybody's friends with Mika. Yeah.
Or better, I don't know.
Okay. Right. So, where did the idea of all of this come from? I mean, okay, playing video games with friends online, I get it. It's fun. It's a way to hang out. It's joyful. It's filled with joy. But, sorry, I got distracted by Mika's comment there.
Should I turn my light on? Is it starting to get dark on this?
It's getting a little dark, but it's getting dark for me too, so you're fine.
keep talking. I'll turn my light on.
We only have 20 minutes left, so. All right. I'm the showrunner. Thanks, Shannon. Okay, so what I want to know is, where did this idea of turning something that was just, playing video games with friends and streaming it into something positive for the community, the question and answer. And by the way, I love that dress. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway.
I like it too.
Where did you find, how did this come about? At what point did y'all just say, hey, let's do a question and answer thing while we're playing video games with each other on our Twitch streams?
So it worked out really nicely. I had known to various extents cursory just through the community, Michaela, Megan, and Ari, and we all kind of knew of each other and knew each other and were social media like friends for a bit, and then I had started doing Twitch back in October of last year, and my friend